We can see that the humid subtropical is right next to the Mediterranean in terms of both being warmer, so latitudinally these are going to be closer to the equator than the following ones we're going to look at. However, you can see the difference between the humid subtropical versus the Mediterranean is the humid subtropical is a bit wetter. In the United States, it's our southeast coast, which is overwhelmingly a humid subtropical climate. Several key characteristics of a humid subtropical climate region include a year-round precipitation pattern, and the fact you're going to find it on the east coast of continents. This is going to differ considerably when we compare this to a Mediterranean climate region in a minute. Further, you're going to find very hot and muggy summers. This is one key characteristic of the American South, is you're going to find very, very high humidity levels, but also high temperatures. This makes sense because this is an area very close to a water body, but also closer to the equator, and thus going to be latitudinally warmer than the other climate regions we're going to look at as they fall from here. Further, this is an area that's quite habitable. So of all the ones we've looked at up until now, this is going to be the one in which you're going to find the largest number of concentrations of population today, especially in the American South, but even more so in coastal China, as we'll look at in a minute. What causes that year-round precipitation characteristic? First off, this is going to be an area that has these empty air masses quite close to it, the Gulf, but also the Atlantic. And so they're very nearby, these moist tropical air masses. Further, in the wintertime, mid-latitude cyclonic systems track through the American South, and so they move to a more southerly location. So one of the things you're going to find is convection in the summertime overwhelmingly explains the key characteristic as far as the atmospheric lifting mechanism, but then frontal cyclones will be have more of an impact in the wintertime. Finally, where we're going to find is the American South, coastal China, actually the southern tip of Indiana. If you look at this extreme southern and western tip of Indiana, there over by Evansville, actually is characteristic of more of a humid subtropical climate region than the other ones that we're going to look at when we look at Indiana. So it's kind of interesting. We see certain types of vegetation that we only find in humid subtropical climates also found in this locale. Here's the temperature profile for a humid subtropical climate region. You're noticing the temperatures are going to be a little bit more variable than the other ones we looked at, and that makes sense. We're going a little bit more closer to the poles than the tropical desert and the tropical rainforest. But comparing this to Mediterranean, you're going to see a very much more of a year-round precipitation. Yeah, I see that in October, November, it does decline a bit, but for the most part, this is a year-round precipitation pattern. Here's a picture from the American South. One thing you will note is as you're coastal, but also a little bit more southern, you're going to find a little bit more pine. But then as you go a little bit more northerly, as you increase your latitude, you're going to find a little bit more of the deciduous type of trees. Here we have a population density map, and so we see the two circles showcasing areas that have a humid subtropical climate region, and you'll note that especially in coastal China, you're going to find a good amount of their population lives in that humid subtropical climate.